Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming Magic Weekend. I'm Tandy, joined by Bomat. Say hi, Bomat.
Hi, Bomat.
We have 5 rounds in the books. We're moving on to round number 6, and we got some awesome undefeated players in the feature match area. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about the prizes, not only that we're giving away today, but that the Apex Gaming Invitational Qualifier Package guarantees to all stores who sign up for the Invitational Qualifier program. First off, we have 4 copies, or not 4 copies, 4 boxes of the Cortex sleeves to all members of the top 8. These Cortex sleeves from Ultimate Guard are quite durable and very good. The top 4 players will each receive a Boulder deck box, one of these nice, awesome deck boxes that'll protect your cards in rain or storm. Don't quote me on that. I'm not admissible in court. And then also we have the finals gets a Sidewinder deck box, right? But you also get the famed Katana sleeves, maybe the best sleeves on the entire market. And then,
My favorite.
And then, last but not least, the archive deck box goes to the winner. So not only do you get qualified for the regional championship in Atlanta, you get qualified for the Apex Invitational here in Caldwell, Ohio in November. You also get $1,500 of the $5,000 purse and this archive huge deck box. So thanks Ultimate Guard for sponsoring the Apex series. We love Ultimate Guard and we love this product. And if you want the swag bags, if you want to run an Apex Invitational qualifier, just head on over to apexgaming.gg and you can sign up today. But without further ado, let's head on down to the feature match area, and we're going to watch some awesome match between 2 people. Tell us about them.
So, in one seat, we have Trey Natalie. We've seen him on the stream before on a backup feature match. Trey's playing 8-rack and is currently 5-0
What?
with an ancient archetype, upgraded with some Urza Sagas.
All right, what's that?
Urza Saga?
No,
The most powerful land in
the
the game?
ancient archetype.
Oh, 8-rack.
Oh, yeah, you already said that, and I said what? Okay, sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
All right. The 8-racks are the Thoughtseize effects. Todd's getting Thoughtseized.
Look, it's hot. It's hot in here. I'm so
That's
sorry.
true. It's getting hot. So Trey's on 8-rack. His opponent, Logan Foley, is playing Mono White Hammer. This is going to be a very fast matchup, unless Trey has anything to say about it. Very excited to see how this plays out.
You know, Hammer can do some really fast kills, but the mono black rack deck is very good at removing creatures with things like Fatal Push and Smallpox, so it'll be a
Right.
nice battle back and forth. No one drop from Logan Foley, however. That's not the place you want to be against the Smallpox deck. You need to be able to punish them early with things like Esper Sentinel. We're off
Right.
to the races here with Trey Natalie. One man, I believe that's Inquisition of Kozilek.
Wow.
Surge of Righteousness grants
Salvation.
Surge of Salvation grants protection from black and red, so the Inquisition fizzles. Trades 1 for 1.
Not quite as bad as Veil of Summer because Logan wasn't able to draw a card off that, but still a great reason to leave up the 1 mana on turn 1.
All right, we do have a prediction in the chat if you're interested in trying to predict the winner. If you got some channel points to burn and you want to see if you can win some of those cool rewards for channel points, go ahead and see who wins. Pick your favorite. I'm on Trey Natalie's side because I love 8-rack and I'm a big old school Tom the Boss Ross fan, and that was his backup deck besides Infect. He loved 8-rack.
So we see Logan on turn 2 here with a Stoneforge Mystic picking up a Colossus Hammer, and we'll see what Trey wants to do about that. Has a lot of cheap cards in hand. One of them just picked up a Dismember, which is actually going to be pretty great in this matchup, being able to kill anything that doesn't have a hammer on it for just 1 mana.
All right, well, we picked up Mishra's Factory. We're going to put that down. And now it does tap for black mana because there is an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth right next to it. So if he wants to do that, he can. Instead, going to deploy Pithy Needle. See what he names. Going to name, I believe, Urza Saga. And then we're going to go for a removal spell. This looks like a Dismember. So 1 mana and 4 life to take care of Stoneforge Mystic. Put him down to 16 life.
We're going to have an interesting game on our hands now because both players have Urza Sagas in their deck that are now both turned off by this Pithing Needle.
Yeah, but the good part for Trey is that searching for the rack is much stronger for his deck versus Logan Foley, who needs to use the Urza Saga as like a backup kill condition.
And we see Logan just playing out first a Gingerbrute, then this Colossus Hammer, indicating that maybe there's a Pure Steel Paladin in hand without the second white source.
Yeah, needs that second white source. Maybe going to go get something like Springleaf Drum to unlock it. Sometimes they play Paradise Mantle.
Right.
All right, 3rd mana for Trey Natalie. We're going to tap 2. And we got Wrench Mine. Discard 2 or an artifact. You just played the hammer. What about your hand? Do you got an artifact? believe has Funeral Charm at the ready too, so can use that on the Ginger Brute to give it -1 toughness. We discard a hammer.
Classic. Hammer is in the bin.
Ooh, I don't like
We just
not
have
killing
the
the Ginger Brute. Don't let him give it a chance. Float of mana. Gonna go get something.
So interestingly, if Logan does end up going for the Springleaf Drum, Funeral Charm does have the opportunity to possibly take away Metalcraft at instant speed. So Trey may be looking to influence Logan's plays and then catch him in a bit of a bind. But actually, it's a second hammer hitting the battlefield. I wonder what Logan's lining up with this play.
Means that Logan just drew a second white source, likely gonna go ahead and deploy Pure Steel Paladin. Oh, finds another Urza Saga instead. Oh,
Wow.
gone.
This Pithing Needle is putting in work for Trey.
Okay, naturally drew the Springleaf Drum. That's the problem. And no Funeral Charm on the Ginger Brute in response to the Springleaf Drum, and that allows Logan Foley to get the Pure Steel Paladin online. Trey Natalie here, gonna have Funeral Charm for the Ginger Brute, and that is gonna turn... Oh, it's not gonna turn off Metalcraft, so
Not
we're gonna
with
be
the
able to
Springleaf
equip
Drum.
both of the hammers to the Pure Steel Paladin. Luckily for Trey Natalie, does have the answer with Sheoldred's Edict in hand.
Wow.
Decent sequence from Trey Natalie, but a little scary there. Hammer always looks a little tough sometimes. Let's see if he wants to go ahead and Edict the Pure Steel Paladin before Foley gets to untap.
Right. This is, I already mentioned it, this has been a crucial Pithing Needle. The threats would have just kept coming for Logan if he was able to activate these sagas, but as is, he's having to rest his hopes on this Pure Steel Paladin that Trey may have the answer to. That is a Lord of the Rings box topper. Not totally sure which one. Looks like a Shadow Spear. Yep.
Yeah.
Shadow Spear
another
triggering
equipment.
Pure Steel Paladin here.
Yeah, and now we're going to get a card draw off of this from Foley's side of things. I feel like Trey just is doing the thing where you kind of just play your instance at instant speed, you know? You want to try to get your
Right.
opponent. Where what's actually happening is because this Pure Steel Paladin has an enters the battlefield effect, we're going to get to draw a card off that Morgul Knife, the Shadow Spear alternate art. And, you know, that actually just backfires when you're trying to beat people with the rack. So
Right.
here's an Edict. Does Foley have a response? I think it's each opponent, so you can't protect yourself with Surge of Salvation.
Yep. Very little Logan can do about that.
Yep, and with the Pithing Needles locking down Urza Saga, no more threats for Logan Foley. And now we have a true game of the rack versus a mostly empty hand. Let's see if Trey Natalie can close.
Wow, it's a second Surge of Salvation. So Trey getting lucky with that Sheoldred's Edict, one of the few removal spells in his deck that does not get turned off by that Surge of Salvation.
You say luck, I say skill and planning.
Fair enough.
Gonna go ahead and play Nile Spellbomb. Can burn that whenever to exile graveyard and draw a card. No graveyard shenanigans from Foley's side of things, so I think it's better to just go ahead and use it. Foley gonna go ahead and tap for a mana. Doesn't have very many things left in the deck to go get. Let's see what he wants to look for.
Possibly a threat, there we see an Ornithopter.
Yeah.
But these hammers are just kind of lying dormant right now without another Pure Steel Paladin to start equipping them. Let's see
Could
how
get
threatening.
Forge Anew at some point seems nice.
Ooh, that's true.
Every now and then they play the core outfitter, right?
Right? We do see looks like a tapped. Oh no, we did pay 3 life for that Zendikar land, so that we could equip the Shadow Spear and play a Sigarda's Aid.
All right, so
So
not gonna play the Amir's Call. Gonna play Amiri on the backside as the land, like you said, paying the 3 life.
that's the one.
I can't remember the backside of it. Saved my life. I'm gonna say Amiria the
Amiria,
Sky Ruin, but I think that's the
Scattered
old one.
Shattered Skyclave, something like
Shattered Skyclave. Okay, all right. Well, back trade
Taps
Natalie
for white.
We did cycle, and now we're gonna attack with the Ornithopter. The rack doing some damage, I guess. To
that. Doing
Logan
its
Foley.
dark work.
Yeah. All right, drew another land for turn. Gonna go ahead and play it instead of holding it. Maybe it's a Horizon Canopy. It kind of looks like so.
Right.
End of turn, crack it. Gonna take another 3.
And this Sigarda's Aid, a little too late. There's 2 hammers already in play and 1 in the graveyard. So not really going to be able to get much out of it unless we see the 4th hammer or a Stoneforge Mystic. Mishra's Factory keeps on clocking.
All right, it's going to deal a couple damage. Now, Foley's going to enter and crack Horizon Canopy. And Trade Natalie actually has access to Funeral Charm, so after this resolves and the card's drawn, can go ahead and make Foley discard it now before the rack trigger. So rack trigger on the stack. Upkeep, you discard a card.
Nice.
What is it? Alright, some white card is gone.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Yep, it's in the bin. Draws for turn, that's a dead Saga.
Not quite dead. When this
Dead-ish
chapter goes
Saga.
off, it's going to get the 4th Colossus Hammer, and if there's still a creature in play, equip it to that creature.
Alright, so Foley in a bind here, attacking for 1 to gain 1 from the Shadow Spear, but Mistress Factory plus Rack, grinding on Foley's life total right now. Ooh, Liliana the Veil, that was a nice pickup. That one can Edict the Ornithopter and get it off the table, or you can just go for the Mistress Factory attack for a couple times. We're going to go with the Edict. I like it.
Just cutting away Logan's outs one bit at a time, and this rack will make short work, really.
Alright, take 3. You're at 4. Land for turn, it's another canopy. Do you want to crack it now and try to find something to play? He does. If it's a land, it leaves him vulnerable to Raven's Crime, which we know is in Natalie's hand from seeing it earlier. We draw. Smallpox. Liliana the Veil. Both
Perfect.
churning. Yeah, this is gross.
The Smallpox actually going to take that 4th life away from Logan, leaving him dead to the rack. And it was the 4th hammer
Yeah.
with no creature to equip it to.
Alright, and we cast it, and now we go Smallpox, and then Rack should finish it off, and game number 1 should go to Trade Natalie here. We're going to attack for 2. We're going to get even more damage in. And then the Rack takes game number 1. Trade Natalie up a game, looking for that 6-0 double draw here.
Yeah.
This deck is looking quite strong. Maybe A-Rack needs to come out of retirement. Urza Saga maybe juiced it a little bit, huh?
Yeah, Trey's making a strong case for that right now. So, moving on to sideboard.
Turns out when you play against Young Dingo at F&M, maybe the game's a little harder, huh?
Yeah, that's true. Trey did beat me on Burn last night, if I remember correctly, as well.
Nice.
So, moving on to sideboards here. Looking at Logan Foley's Hammer sideboard, we have 1 Hallowed Moonlight, 2 Solitude, 3 March of Otherworldly Light, 3 Sanctifier on Vec, 1 Relic of Progenitus, 1 Pithing Needle, and 4 Draenith Magistrate. So, I think definitely we're going to be seeing the Sanctifier on Vex coming in against this mono black deck. Though, interestingly, 8-Rack is pretty well set up to deal with that.
Right,
If you can
bunch
get
of
rid of all
edicts.
the other threats
Yeah.
with both Liliana and Shieldred's Edict.
Yeah, and Smallpox, too.
That's true. And then I'll be interested to see whether these March of Otherworldly Lights come in. Those are great against all the small rack effects, but also against Urza Saga itself, if you can respond to the trigger. So, probably seeing those come in. Let's take a look at
I
Trey.
gotta say, the Pithing Needle was such a huge blow in game number 1.
Absolutely.
The Hammer deck just relies on Urza Saga to generate a bunch of extra bodies for the equipment and just raw pressure. And that early turn 2 Needle on Urza Saga just dominated the whole game.
Right, and that was notably a game in which we saw Logan draw 2 main deck Surge of Salvations.
Yeah.
Speaking of 8-Rack, Trey Natalie's sideboard is going to have 1 Fatal Push, 1 Collective Brutality, 1 Pithing Needle, 4 Leyland of the Void, 1 Nile Spellbomb, 3 Shadow of Doubt, 2 Delirium Skeins, 1 Bantu's Last Reckoning, and 1 Turok Dread Cantor.
All right, before you tell me how to sideboard, right, I want to ask you, do you know what Delirium Skeins does?
I don't know the mana cost, but I'm going to say this is a card that says both players discard 3 cards.
Damn, you're so good. It's 2 and a black. Both players discard 3 cards. It's a brutal discard effect, but it's you know, you're essentially spending 4 cards to take their 3.
Right.
But if you're able to empty your hand, it is such a sick thing against like those grindy mid-range decks.
Right. This may be how Trey is hoping to claw back after a 1 ring comes down.
Right. All right, so both players here are shuffling up here for game number 2. Trade Natalie on your left with that A-Rack deck. Putting on a show in game number 1. Been the talk of the tournament. Starting off 5-0 here. Looking good, feeling good. Hoping to punch his ticket into the top 8 and hopefully win a seat at the Apex Gaming Invitational in November, as well as the Regional Championship in Atlanta later this year as well. Turn 1 Cigar his aid for Logan Foley. A great start. Maybe he has an Ornithopter, so he can threaten a turn 2 kill.
Doesn't look like it.
Nope. A very land-heavy hand from Trey Natalie, but that's okay when you're just planning on going smallpox, which you
Right.
3 smallpox. Holy. All right, 3 more damage from Emiria. We're down to 14 already, making the job
Yeah,
easy.
and that's very relevant in this matchup. A-Rack uses those rack effects. They're pretty much like burn spells, and the fewer turns you have under those racks, the more important it's going to be for you to quickly kill your opponent.
All right, we have Swamp number 2 for Trey Natalie, and here comes Smallpox number 1. This card is so iconic for me. When it was first printed in Time Spiral, I built a deck featuring Flagstones of Trocaire, Tarmogoyf, and like Chromatic Star to help cast everything. Urborg was also in Time Spiral. That was a block constructed deck. It
Wow.
was so cool. And then, of course, paired with the rack, which also came out in the same era, reprint in Time Spiral block. But here's Smallpox resolved. Both players discard, sack a land, sack a creature, lose a life. A reference to the old card Pox, which you probably never even seen a physical copy of.
Yeah, that might be true, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, here's Urborg, land number 2/3. And we have it again, Smallpox. You get to draw a card, so it's not quite as devastating.
Yeah, Logan this turn had the one of the best cards in this matchup in Esper Sentinel. The majority of Trey's deck is non-creature spells, and Esper Sentinel directly counters the 8-rack strategy. But it'll only draw Logan one card here before eating a Smallpox.
I mean, that still trades up on cards, and I think at the end of the day, that's just what you're looking for against the rack deck, is just trading, 2 for 1 in reverse. Okay, another Smallpox resolve. Let's see if Logan has more mana to play, or if he's going to get stifled from the... Oh, he's stuck on 1 now.
He got Smallpox.
Yes, he did, and he has another one in hand, so if Foley gets a little, gummed up in another turn or two, maybe just goes draw, play Esper Sentinel or something, a Smallpox next turn could just lights out. Here's the rack. I think still a decent number of cards in hand, though.
Right. Trey's going to take this turn off Smallpoxing to get a rack down, and hope to also nab another threat with this next Smallpox. Or, if Logan doesn't have anything to do, Trey is perfectly content to just start making constructs.
Oh, yeah. And doesn't he have to deal himself damage with a silent clearing because the Urborg keeps him from taking a damage?
That's what we call synergy.
Yes. That's what we call Twitch chat landmines.
Yeah, don't at me.
Oh my god, he didn't take a damage from a silent clearing. Happens more than you think.
That's such an accurate voice. All right, first construct.
I just did my best Braden Bowdish impression.
Oh boy. Wow.
He's not gonna.
Braden's not even here. He's taking shots.
I had a fun trip with him to Gen Con last week.
Yeah.
I got to get my shots in when I can. Y'all go follow Braden on Twitter at Braden MTG. He likes weird formats like me and Matt. We play Pauper. Yep. We play Forgetful Fish or Dan, whatever you want to call it, and we're always looking for more fun stuff to do.
Yeah. So Trey is pumping out constructs. They're going to end the game almost as quickly as we saw Corey's constructs ending the game in the last couple rounds.
Yeah, and only one land in play for Logan Foley, and we know Trey Natalie has a Smallpox for the next creature he plays, so things looking pretty dire for Logan.
Right, and we're seeing just how Trey was able to take down the past 5 opponents.
It's fun doing commentary with different partners that are like wildly different ages, because the number of cards that I know is just like, I don't know what you know and what you don't know. Right?
Yeah.
But I've known Ross for so long and we've played for so long that I know about his range of cards that he knows.
Yeah.
And he would have got Delirium Skeins like money. And you got it too, which is very impressive considering I doubt you've ever cast it.
That's true. And we do see Trey take it down, improve to 6-0.
Yes. 8-rack.
8-rack.
Rooting for him. All right.
Someone call the boss.
Someone call the boss. Tom the Boss Ross, get him on the horn. Maybe we'll have to bring him up to Apex.